I'll be honest with you, I think that was probably one of the scariest moments in my life.
There's no going back. Squad ain't with me.
Hello to everybody and their moms. We're back with another video, but today we're doing a story time. I honestly haven't done a story time in literally the fattest minute yet. If you haven't seen my last story time, the link will be in my description. It was my first video, but today I want to tell you guys about a near-death experience. This is the story of the time that I almost died while surfing. So for those who don't know, I was a Girl Scout for 12 years. I started as a brownie and I went all the way up to why did I forget what it was called? I literally knew that. I went from brownies all the way to ambassadors. I went and I earned my bronze, silver, and gold award. Yes, I earned the whole deal. Okay, I was kind of that girl. Okay. My sister also did the exact same thing, and we also were big cookie sellers. We both sold 1,000 each one year. I'm like way too proud of that, but we did that. Anyways, so my sister and I were in different troops, just so we kind of have different experiences and that kind of good stuff. So her troop, they were planning on doing a trip to South Padre Island and they were gonna go surfing. I decided to tag along and come with because hello, a free trip to the beach, I'm there. So the day that they were planning to go surfing, we got there, it was like the middle of the day, and there was a super nice instructor lady there, and she basically gave us the rundown of like what she did and like kind of like the essentials to surfing and like how long she had been surfing, and like she was just the bomb. Okay, so I'm not scheduled to surf. Like I'm not supposed to be doing anything. I'm just supposed to be there for moral support. And the instructor comes over to us and she's like, hey, like, do you want to surf? Like, I happen to have an extra board, extra set of stuff. Like, do you want to surf? And I was just like, oh my gosh, like, do I want to hang 10? Like, this is my moment. Like, I should do it. Prior to it, everybody else had to pay money to surf, but I mean, she was offering me for free and I love free stuff. So I was like, okay, cool. Truthfully, I was pretty scared. I was like, wait a minute, surfing, like, she sounds cute and all, but also like, aren't there like downsides? Like, aren't there things that could go wrong? Like, I don't know, I was kind of scared. But then one of the girls in my sister's troop was like, oh my gosh, look at the badge we get for doing this. And I don't know why, but that was it for me. Signed, sealed, delivered, I was ready to go. I was like, wait a minute, you're telling me I get a badge? I get a badge. In addition, she was telling us about, there were some flags, and she was like, hey, if this flag goes up, it means this. If this flag goes up, it means this. Like, she was kind of telling us about, like, basically prepping us in case anything were to happen, you know? She was also telling us things that, like, we shouldn't do and things that we should, like, definitely avoid. And so one of those specific things being, she had gotten on the board and she was like, hey, like, don't ever just like sit in the water like on the board, but like on all, like with your stomach on the board, but like put your hands, like your arms in the water and like your legs, like that. From, you know, creature's perspective, we all knew she was talking about sharks, okay? We all knew. But she was like, from a creature's perspective, like that could look like a seal and that just wouldn't end well. My mind instantly went to Jaws. I was like, sis, I know you're trying to kind of censor, you know, give us like the G-rated version, but like basically you're telling us don't lay like that or else you're gonna die, you know? She wasn't really saying that, but like that's how I took it. I was like, okay, so we're not gonna lay like a seal. Cute. So the lady gives us time to like go and get into our wetsuits, and basically like she gave us time to kind of like get our mindsets right, everything we needed good to go. And I was like, okay, I am a Girl Scout and I can do anything. So basically I got on the board and I was like, let's do this. So like I said earlier, she had taught us the fundamentals and like she had prepped us. So I got on the board, I got on my stomach, and I'm paddling because she said don't just lay, you know. So I'm paddling and I'm trying to hang 10, I'm trying to do the thing. I'm trying to have a surf's up moment, you know, the movie with the penguins. I'm just trying to live my best life. And I can't catch a wave. I get back to the shore. I'm like, okay, take 2. Try again. I paddle out. It's not working for me. It's not going good. I keep on losing my balance. I can't really even get out there. I was just like, this is just not going good. Other people in my sister's troop, they're doing great. They're surfing, everything. And I'm just like, wow, I suck. So I made it back to shore one last time. And I was like, if I don't get it this time, like, I'm gonna hang up the coat. My career is just gonna be over. It started 5 minutes ago, but we're gonna retire early. And I got on my stomach again. I started to paddle out. I just kept paddling, just kept going. And before I knew it, my feet couldn't touch the bottom. So I was like, okay, I must be far enough out. And so I sat on the board, just my feet in the water, not my hands, okay, just sitting there. Like the way that she prepped us for these boards, like, I'm gonna figure out what it's called. Okay, so it was called a surfboard coiled leash. I'll insert a picture because that just sounds weird. But basically it attached around your ankle and then the other end attached to the board. So like no matter what, you were going to be attached to the board. And so I was just sitting there in the water and I felt like I was sitting there for a long time, you know? And before I know, I just turned around and looked behind me and the shore was far. And I was just kind of like, oh my gosh, like I'm not in the middle of the ocean, but I am really far out here. And so that in itself terrified me. But believe it or not, I didn't think about Jaws. And like the people in my sister's troop, they were all still surfing and stuff. Like nobody was scared for me. Like nobody was trying to flag me down, nothing like that. So I was like, okay, I must be good. So I turned back around, right? And the moment I turned around, a wave came towards me and knocked me into the water. And I'll be honest with you, I think that was probably one of the scariest moments in my life. To be submerged under, like into water, okay, first of all, no matter what body of water you're in, okay, can be scary. But then when you're out in the middle of like literally nowhere, there's nothing around you, there's nothing for you to really like latch onto, and then to top it off, you can't open your eyes under the water because this is salty water, okay? That within itself is pretty frightening. So I'm under the water, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh, like I can't really tell if I'm like close to the surface or not. Like I can't really, because the water, like if you were to like close your eyes right now, there was no way for me to really tell if I was getting closer to the surface, if I was still like pretty far below. And I think part of the reason with that is because of the fact that my board was probably covering the surface. I was probably underneath my board. I don't really know because I didn't open my eyes. Here's where things get scarier. So I'm trying to get up to the top, which when you go under the water, it shouldn't take you that long to get to the top. It really shouldn't. But I was struggling for some reason. I was struggling to get to the top, and all of a sudden something hits me in the water. And I'm not talking about like a brisk little like, woohoo, that could be seaweed, or oh my gosh, that could be flounder and friends. No sis, something hit me. And I know for a fact it couldn't have been the board, okay? Because I've been laying on the board. I knew what the board had felt like, but something hit me underwater. And freaked out because I can't open my eyes. So I try to get to the top and I feel air on my head, so I know I'm above water. Taking a deep breath, I grab onto the board and I take my free hand and I wipe in front of my eye, right? So I get an eye open, looking around. I'm like, okay. I take my other hand, I wipe my other eye, open my other eye. I'm like, okay, something definitely touched me. I need to get out of this area. So I get back onto the board. I try to look below me. I don't see anything, but then again, I still kind of have like water in my eyes because here I am taking wet hands and wiping my eyes. Like, it's just, nothing's getting dry. Nothing is getting dry. So I start to paddle back to shore, and another wave comes, and this time I use my tips and tricks that I learned from my instructor, and I stand up and I ride the wave back. So I surfed, okay? Yeah, I surfed. I get back to shore, and people were like, oh my gosh, that's so awesome. But nobody mentioned the fact that I went underwater. Like, nobody saw me go underwater. And later on, I ended up getting my badge, and like everything was great. Besides the fact that I was just a little bit traumatized. Totally fine. To this day, I do not know what hit me. I do not know what touched me. I mean, it could have been a turtle, it could have been something else. Somehow I managed to not die by whatever that creature was, and also not drown, despite the fact that it was super hard for me to find the surface. But yeah, that's my story. So if you've made it this far, that tells me a couple of things. Number one, you deserve endless joy, positivity, happiness, everything good in life. That's so dramatic. But two, if you enjoyed this video, girl, there's a really good possibility that you probably would enjoy the rest of my content, and therefore you should subscribe to my channel. Also, you should totally check out my Instagram. My username is itschristv. It's the same as my YouTube, so in case there's a good possibility that you might get lost in the sauce, girl, I made it super easy so you could find it. If you would like me to do another story time, I have so many stories to share. So if you'd like to see more story times, give this video a thumbs up or just leave me a comment. And that's basically everything. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.